Hello, everybody. Welcome to our very final Awesome Animals lockdown lessons. And today we are talking about something which I think is really important, and that is how to understand our dogs. So the title of today's chat is Doggy Language. And it's really important that we do know how to talk to our dogs, or at the very least, how they are talking to us, because our dogs are always chatting to us with their body language, with their facial expressions, and sometimes with their voice as well. And it's really important, particularly for us young people, or you young people, that you guys understand what our dogs are saying to us. Hi, Anya, because they're constantly trying to tell us stuff. And sometimes if we don't listen to what they say, then that can put us sometimes in danger, because sometimes dogs don't like us as much as we like them. And if we don't read the signs that they're telling us that they're kind of unhappy or uncomfortable or worried about something, it can be problematic. So this lesson today is all about teaching you guys how to understand doggy language, and therefore how to understand your dogs, or your dogs and dogs you meet out and about. So let's get going. I am now going to share my screen with you. You know how it works these days. I should as well. Right, are we on it? So this is our final Awesome Animals lockdown lesson, and it's all about doggy language. So our dogs are talking to us all of the time. And it's really important that not only do we listen, that we understand. And that's going to have two effects. It means that they will be happier pets, because imagine if you were trying to tell people something and they never listened to you, or they never understood you, you're going to get frustrated, maybe even a little bit cross about things. So they'll be happier pets. We will be better owners, because the better and the more that we can communicate with our pets, the better. And also, it's going to make us better animal fans, because we can be better owners for the pets that we have, but we're also going to be better at understanding the ones that are out and about as well. And most importantly, it will help us to stay safe. And that's really what a large part of today is about. It's about learning to be safe around dogs, because you love dogs, I love dogs, and the vast majority of time they love us. But sometimes we can get a communication breakdown. We don't quite understand what's going on, and that can potentially cause problems. But our dogs can't talk, they can't chit chat. So how do they express themselves? How do they communicate with us? They communicate using their body language mainly, and they communicate using their face. So they look at us, they use their eyes, they use their ears, they use their lips, they use their noses. They have very, very expressive faces, as you well know. They use their body. So they can tell us with their body how they're feeling, whether they're sitting down or standing up, or whether they're tense, or whether they're relaxed, or whether they're looking like this. I remember this position. We're going to find out what that is later. They can use their tails, so they can wag their tails when they're happy. Sometimes they wag their tails in a slightly different way if they're maybe a bit confused or a bit worried or a bit upset. And also, they can use their voice. Of course, they can use their voice. Our dogs can growl, and they can bark, and they can harumph, and they can groan, and they can whine. But they don't use their voice as their main method of communication like we do, obviously. And that's why it's kind of sometimes a bit hard to understand them. And that's why it's really important that we work hard to learn their body language, or their doggy language. So today, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at some pictures of dogs, and we're going to figure out how they're feeling and what they're saying to us. So if you guys have been along this journey over the lockdown lessons, you'll know that I'll often ask you guys a question, then a couple more slides, and I will give you guys the answer. So that's going to be slightly different today. Today, we're not going to do that. Today, I'm going to just show you the slide, and then I'm going to show you the answer and explain why the answer is. So if you're really quick at typing, you can type your answer super fast, or you can just shout it out at home. I don't mind either way. So let's get started. How is this doggy feeling? When you look at the picture, we've got a cartoon there and an actual dog on the other side. When you look at that picture, how do you think that doggy feels? What do you think they are feeling? Right, ready? This dog is happy. So this is a happy dog. This is exactly what we want to see when we see our dogs. Look at that dog. So the ears are up. So they're up, and they're, well, as up as floppy ears can go, but those floppy ears are up, pricked up and looking. The tail is wagging. You can see that tail at the back there moving. That body's relaxed. It's difficult to see from a picture, but they're chill. That body is relaxed. They're looking at us. They've got their mouth open. Their face is relaxed. That whole dog is kind of relaxed. And it looks like it's coming towards you. So it's coming up. It's approaching you for a stroke. So this is a happy dog. So can we pet this dog? Because that's, of course, what we want to do, isn't it? We see the dog, we pet the dog. I look at the dog, I pet the dog. But can we pet this one? Maybe. The answer to can I pet this dog is never an absolute yes, first off. It is always a maybe. We always have to think before we pet any dog, whether we've just met them or whether we've known them for years. And the first thing we have to do is we have to ask their owner. So if we meet this dog out in a park, even if it's looking at us and wagging its tail and coming forward, we have to say, can I pet your dog? Is that okay? And what if we already know it? But like I say, even if we already know it, it's still a maybe. And we'll come to that. We'll come to that later. And that's the thing. Even if the dog is super friendly, super happy, super excited to see you, if there's no owner there, then the answer is no. We always have to ask to pet. So if you see a dog tied up outside a shop and you really want to go and say hello, if their owner isn't there, if we cannot ask, the answer is no. So how about this one? How is this dog feeling? Oh, Jill got it right. Well done. Rosalie, you got it right. Oh, look, you all got it right. Excellent. You're experts already. That's wonderful. So how is this dog feeling? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they angry? Are they worried? How is this happy? How is this dog? So this dog is unhappy. So look at the difference. It's a different dog. It's a different breed. It's a different size, but you can still read this body language and compare it to the last one. The ears are down. It's like, ooh. Look at those eyebrows up. Worried. You can see how worried they look. They're looking away. So when a dog is unhappy, they'll sort of look at you and then they'll look away and then look at you and then they'll look away. They're like this, trying to avoid your gaze. And the body is tense. Can you see the difference in that body? Look at that. Put yourself in that position. Put your head down, your shoulders a bit up. Immediately, you're tense. And if you're feeling tense, your body will be tense. So this dog is not a happy dog. It's a worried dog. She's concerned. So can we pet this dog? Absolutely not. We cannot pet this dog. This dog is giving off lots of so if we met this dog in the park and that dog looked at us like that dog is giving off loads of signals that's saying, okay, I'm just a bit worried about this. I don't really know if I want you to, please don't touch me. And if they're giving off those signals, then we have to listen and we have to respect how they're feeling and we have to not pet them, because if we keep going and we keep trying to pet them, that's when problems occur. And we'll be talking about that in a second. Okay, we're ramping up the emotions here. So how is this dog feeling? So we can see its teeth, look at its eyes, look at its ears, look at its body language, look at its posture. What do you think this dog is feeling? Laura, you were right. No, we cannot pet it. Scared. Yes, that last one was scared. And this one is scared as well. This dog is very unhappy. Look at that body language. Those ears are down again, but the eyes are looking at you. So that dog's now going, go away, go away, go away. And it's not taking you out of its sight because it doesn't want to try and pretend that it's not there. It's actually like, okay, you're right here now. You're right in my way. You're right in my face. And I'm not going to take my eyes off you because I think that you might be a threat. I'm kind of frightened of you. I'm worried about you, but I'm going to keep you in my sights. Look at the tense. The body is tense. The hackles are up. So that means when the hair on the back of the neck comes up, you can see that better in the cartoon. That hair is standing straight up. And they do that. And that's a thing that makes them look a bit bigger. And the teeth are bared. So look at those teeth. That's really threatening. It's going, look at my teeth. Look at these teeth. These teeth could bite you if they wanted to. That's why it's showing us the teeth. So that dog is really unhappy. That behavior is probably coming from fear. Dogs are very, very rarely nasty or angry. Those emotions don't really happen. That dog is fearful. It is afraid, but it's got to the point where it's decided that it cannot run, it cannot hide, it cannot be nice about being afraid. It's got to stand up and tell you to go away. So what noise might this dog be making? And this is really important because this is something that we don't always hear very often from our dogs, but when we do hear it, it's really important we listen to it. So what dog noise? So hopefully you can hear that. Can you hear that noise? Hopefully you can hear that noise. This is a growl. This is a growl, and this is a noise that dogs can make. And what that noise is it's like, go away, please. I'm scary and I'm big and I'm angry. Well, I'm not angry, frightened, and I want you to go away. And this is a dog's way of telling us that they're unhappy. So it's just another way that they can communicate. But think back to all the dogs that we've seen so far. The happy one, the worried one, the really unhappy, frightened one, and now the growling. There is an escalation, there is a stepping up in that communication, and that will happen if we don't listen to them. So it is very important we never ignore this growl. If you hear a dog making this noise, back off straight away, okay? Because the next step after a growl is a bite. And actually, the other thing that we must never do, and if you see the adults in your life doing this, because adults will often do it, unfortunately, it is really important we don't tell our dogs off for growling. Because when they're growling, they're communicating with us. And what they're communicating is, please, I'm unhappy, I'm frightened, I'm worried, I'm very tense. I've probably given you a lot of body language signals up until this point, and you haven't listened. So now I'm using my voice. They don't use their voice first like we do. They use it last. But what happens if we ignore the growl? What can they do next? What do we force them to do? We force them to bite, because that's the next thing in the line. That's the next step in the communication. If we don't listen to the growl, they will bite. And that's when we can get hurt. So it's really important. And it's also really important we don't tell them off, because they are communicating with us. And if we shout at our dogs and say, naughty dog, don't growl, that's bad, the dog will stop growling, because it doesn't want to be in trouble and it doesn't want us to shout at us. But that's not stopped it feeling frightened or worried or scared or however it's feeling. It's just stopped it telling us about it. And if it can't tell us with a growl, how's it going to tell us? It's going to tell us with a bite. So the growl is a warning that a bite might be coming. And we don't want them to bite. We don't want to push them to the point where they have to bite. Our dogs don't want to bite us. They don't want to bite us. But if we force them to the point where we don't listen to them, they're going to have to bite us to get their message across. And that's what's really important. And that's why children, so young people like you guys, and certainly younger children as well, so like toddlers and people in primary school and maybe nursery, unfortunately, they are the most likely people to get bitten by dogs. And it's not because they're particularly annoying. It's because they don't listen, because they don't understand. They don't understand what dogs are trying to tell us. And I'm hopeful that after this talk, you guys will understand. And therefore, you guys are going to be able to be safer around dogs, and dogs are going to be able to be happier around you. So can we pet this dog? No. Absolutely not. I would really hope that you wouldn't try and pet this dog when it was giving you these signals. But unfortunately, if you didn't understand, and you were like, oh, what happens when do we bare our teeth at people? It's when we're smiling. That's how we communicate. But dogs only bare their teeth at people when they growl. So when you see a dog's teeth, it's not smiling at you. But how can we talk to dogs? You love dogs, I love dogs, and they love us. We want to pet them. We want to love them. We want to stroke their beautiful fur. And loads of dogs really enjoy it. So it's okay to pet them. But how can we do it safely? How can we make absolutely certain that when we want to pet a dog, that dog wants to be petted? Because that's the really important thing. We want to pet them, but that doesn't mean they have to be petted by us. They have the ability to say no and to say, I don't want to be petted, thank you. Just like you have that ability. If you are not really into talking to people that day, or you're chatting in the park and your mum is chatting to one of the grown-ups and the grown-ups having a really boring conversation, and then that grown-up, that stranger, says to you, hi, aren't you big, haven't you grown, oh, and went forward to pat you on the head, you probably wouldn't be fantastically happy about that if you'd never met that person before. And that's kind of the same for our dogs. So how can we talk to them? So here's what we don't do. We're going to start with the don'ts. We don't rush up to them all super excited. We don't go, doggy, and dash across the park or run up the road or run towards it as it's tied up outside the supermarket. Because what would you do if someone you didn't really know came running up to you screaming? You'd probably run away, or you'd at least back off, or you'd be like, oh my goodness. And it's the same for our dogs. That's kind of frightening. Don't loom over them and don't stare directly at them. So remember when we were looking at the doggy body language, when the dog was really, really tense, it was staring straight at us, but it was staring us all tense. So when we look at them and we go, oh, hi, and we look straight down and we look in their eyes, for dogs, that's quite a that can be quite a threatening behavior. So we don't want to do that. And also we don't want to loom over them. Imagine if somebody came up to you who was like 20 times your size and stood right over the top of you and looked down at you. Hi! Kind of intimidating. You'd be a bit like, oh, I'm going to back off here a bit. And that's exactly the same. And don't reach out your hand over their head. So that's obviously the thing that we all do. We want to reach out and we want to pet them. We want to pat them on the head. But if a great giant hand came straight down at your face, I'm not sure that we would like it very much, you know. So don't reach down, don't loom, and don't rush up. How do we do it then? So we do ask the owner if it's okay to pet their dog. That's the first question out of our mouths every single time. Can I pet your dog? If they say no, you say, okay, fine. Turn your body to the side and don't get too close. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to loom. We're going to turn slightly to the side and we're going to be like, hi, hello, I'm kind of friendly. It's different, isn't it, to going, hi, go, hello. So we turn to the side. We don't get too close. We let them know that we're there. We sort of give off friendly vibes and hopefully they come to us. And we wait for them to come to us. That's the most important thing. The dog has to take the steps. Remember that dog at the beginning that was kind of happy, tail up, relaxed face, and it was stepping towards us to say hello? That's what we want. It's really important that our dogs choose to come and be petted, that we don't make them be petted. Do you see the difference? It's really, really important. So here we go. The do's and the don'ts. Don't rush up. Don't stare straight at them. Don't reach down to pat them on the head. Do ask to see if they can be petted. Stay outside, stay a little bit, go up close, but not too close. Turn your scent to the side. You can, if they're little dogs, you can bob down maybe, but don't get too close. Don't reach out, let them come to you. When they come to you, then they can sniff your hand. And then if that's okay, then you can stroke them. But what about dogs in the house? So what about dogs who live with us, either our pets or we go around to people's houses, or maybe your granny or granddad's got a dog. Obviously, we've not been in many people's houses recently. So when we are back in people's houses, let's remember that those dogs who live in those houses probably haven't had a lot of people in their house if they don't live with us. So when we do go back into other people's houses and we do meet other people's dogs, they're going to be a bit like, oh, my house is full of people. I'm not sure about this. So what about them? The same rules apply. We don't rush up. We don't scream and shout. We wait for them to come to us. And there's some special considerations for dogs in the home. We never disturb them when they're sleeping. Imagine if you're having a nap on the sofa, minding your own business, reading a book ever so quietly, and somebody who you maybe knew and loved, like I would say brother or sister, but you don't always like them much anyway some days. But you know, someone we really liked came and jumped straight on us. Hi, how are you? And you're like, oh. It's the same for our dogs. They don't want to be disturbed if they're chilling. And a lot of the time when we have dogs and they've got a bed, the grown-ups in your life, and maybe you, if you've already done some dog training, will have trained the dog to go to the bed if they want some time alone. You know, like, okay, off you go to bed, go lie down, get out, go and have a rest. So the bed is a safe space. So if your dog's in their bed, you leave them alone. If you want to play with them and they're kind of awake, like this guy here, and he's kind of awake and he's looking, he's sat on his comfy bed, but you know, he's watching what's going on, you can go, come on, let's go. If he comes out of his bed to talk to you, that's wonderful. But if he's in his bed, we leave him alone. Let them eat their food and their treats in peace. Nobody wants to be eating their dinner and have someone come along and go, hello. We don't want that. That would annoy you, wouldn't it? And you'd be like, get off, go away. And it's the same for the dog, you know, just let them eat their food in peace. Also, it can be quite threatening. You know, dogs love their food. They might thinking that you're coming to try to take it away from them or to remove it. Some people say that you should always be able to take food off a dog and a dog must always give you the food. I'm not entirely sure that I agree with that to a large extent. I think we should be able to, our dogs should be confident enough that if we give them the food, it's their food and they can eat it. We don't need to prove anything by constantly being able to take it away. They need to be confident to know that when we fed them, that's it. They can just eat in peace. Leave them to eat in peace and leave them their treats in peace, you know, especially if they're on their bed eating, you know, we need to just leave them be. And then when they're finished, we can go out. Of course, if you're going to give them snacks and treats, that's great. They can take them off you, but while they're having a meal, leave them alone. And this is a really, really important one. Do not hug them. So, of course, we want to hug our dogs. Of course, we've all hugged dogs. I've got a dog. Sometimes I hug him, you know, but hugging like that for dogs is actually quite an unnatural behavior. So dogs don't naturally hug each other. They don't hug each other or they don't squeeze up close to each other to express affection between them. So it's not a way that their species communicates, it's a way that our species communicates. And one of the only times dogs will ever huddle together and squish their bodies up is if there's some danger approaching or around, or if they're really, really worried about something, then they will huddle. So for us to hug a dog, especially like this little boy, he's got his face really close to that dog's face. It's really unnatural. And for some dogs who we know really, really well and who we've trained to accept it, it's okay. But I think for any dog who you don't know well, or any dog really, hugging is not great. So let's just have a look at this dude's face here, this dog's face. Think of all the things that we've talked about through this procedure. Does that dog look happy to you? Is that mouth relaxed? Is he open and panting? Are his eyes open and bright? Are his ears up? Is he like, hey, I'm having a hug and I'm loving it? Or actually, when I look at that picture, I think that dog looks pretty tense. See, his eyes are a bit like, not too happy about this. See his tongue's out. Dogs will often lick when they're kind of nervous. They'll be like, they'll often lick their lips. We call it lip smacking. And those ears don't look too happy. So that dog really isn't very happy. The little boy loves him. Look how much the little boy loves him. And the dog is being really sweet and letting the little boy hug him, but the dog is not happy about that hug. So the adult in that situation really should be taking the little boy away. And that dog, he's kind of grey around the gills. He looks like he might be an elderly dog. And sometimes elderly dogs can get grumpy in their old age. They'll often have problems like arthritis, which can be quite painful. They get sore joints and sore backs. You know, when your dad stands up and goes, oh, my knees, my back. Dogs get like that when they're old as well. And if we hug them or jump on them or touch them, they can get quite grumpy about it. And it's not because they don't love us. It's because it hurts. You know, and if somebody hurts you, if somebody pokes you and they hurt you, what are you going to do? Get off. And we don't want our dogs to do that, because if they do that, they're going to growl, they're going to snap, and they might even bite us. So we are nearly at the end of the final Awesome Animals Lockdown lesson. And so now I thought we would go back to some more doggy language, because I've talked to you. Now you should know. So how about this dog? How is this dog feeling? What do you think this dog is communicating with us? Let's see. Oh, let's be watching. That's cool. They want to play. This is called a play bow. So dogs will do this when they're playing. And if you look in that picture, that dude's got a ball. He's like, yes, I've got my ball and we're going to play. He's got his ears up. He's got his mouth open. His eyes and his face are really super relaxed. He's got his paws on the floor and he's got his bottom in the air. And that's called a play bow. Dogs will do it with you, and they'll also do it with other dogs as well. And what that means is, you ready to play? It's a way of them saying, I'm in a playful mood. I'm going to play. I'm going to come and I'm going to run and I'm going to bounce at you and I'm going to play with you. And so it's a way of dogs saying, I'm not a threat. Everything's chill. I'm cool. Let's play. So if you see this, it's called a play bow. And it means the dog is happy, relaxed, and ready to rock. And this is a fun thing. And what about this one? How is that dog feeling? Rolling on his back, showing his tummy, legs in the air like he just doesn't care. Is he happy? Is he sad? Is that belly for rubbing? No, that belly is not for rubbing. This dog is worried. And this is another thing that dogs will do an awful lot if they're feeling kind of worried. And it's something that I really, really want you guys to know. So if two dogs are having a bit of argy-bargy and a bit of an argument, but there's things that are a bit tense, often one dog will be more submissive and it will roll over on its back and show its tummy. And that is what that dog is saying is, look at me, dude. I am no threat. I'm lying on my back. Here's my tummy. This is my most exposed. If they're doing that, it means they're really exposed. You could attack them. Another dog could bite that belly and rip it to shreds. So what the dog on the floor is going, look, I'm no threat. You could get me if you wanted to, but please don't get me because I'm cool and I'm friendly. So they're being submissive. So what does that dog want us to do? Does it want us to rush up and rub its tummy and be like, oh, tummy rubs, which are cool and lovely, and I love giving tummy rubs. What would happen? Bad things would happen, because that dog's saying, please leave me alone. That is another way that dogs say, please leave me alone. Look, I'm no threat, but I don't want to play with you. You're kind of worrying me. I'm kind of worried about this. Please leave me alone. And so if we rub that dog's tummy, what we're going is going, wah! We're effectively attacking. We're effectively ignoring that communication. And what's that dog going to do next? It's going to growl or it's going to bite, and we're going to get hurt. So if a dog does that, back away. And you can see the difference. Look at that dog's face Remember all the things we've taught. Look at those ears. The ears are down. Look at those eyes. The eyes are tense. The face is tense. It's not panting. Its mouth is closed. Its tail is tucked right under. Look at that tail. Its tail is not wagging. That tail is tucked right up under its legs, and it's staring straight at us. It is not a happy dog. There is a difference. You know, some dogs roll on their back and their tongues are out and their legs are in the air. And a lot of dogs do really enjoy a tummy rub and a belly rub, but you have to know that that's okay. And so they have to tell you. We have to wait for them to tell us. We have to say to their owner, is it okay to give him a, but does he like belly rubs? Is this a belly rub dog? That kind of thing. So that dog's worried. So, and there we are. Thank you very much for listening to today's talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you've learned something. This is such an important subject because if we can get good at talking to our dogs and listening to them, we're going to be fabulous, fabulous dog owners and dog people. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and I'm going to come back to you guys. Hello. Right. Rosa Lily says that dog on his back was about to do a bottom burp. Well, it's possible. It's possible. They don't use those. They're not raccoons. They don't give us a bottom burp as a threat. But, you know, it's possible. Anyway, so that's it. That is the end of today's lockdown lesson. Don't forget that this will be available to watch as soon as I have pressed the stop button, so you can start right back from the beginning again and watch it again. It'll also be uploaded on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram TV. So if you've got any friends that aren't on Facebook, you can watch it there instead. If you liked it, please comment, like, share. That would be amazing. And thank you very much for joining me on this journey through this funny old life that we're leading right now in lockdown. I hope you guys have a great time when you get back to school. I hope you enjoy it. And if you want to go back and watch any of these lessons, if you've missed any, they're all here. They're all on my Facebook page. They're all on my Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. So, hello. Right, I'm just going to go really quickly do the hellos and then I'm going to go. So, hi, Ellis and Rosa Lily. Laura and Mandy are here. Jin, thanks. Tansy. Who else? Rosie, you're here. And Isabella and Anya. It's great. It's been great to see the same names coming up every week. It really has. So thanks everybody for joining me on this journey. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. I'll try and check later and answer them if I can. And you guys have a great day and take care. Bye.